Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's great to see all of you. Thank you for coming. Look forward to talking with you today. For those of you online, welcome. We're happy to have you with us as well. Before we begin, I'd like us to pause for a moment. There are so many people in our world, and yes, in our community as well, who are in real pain right now because of the war and the violence and the unrest that we are all witnessing. We're going to focus on big, important issues for our university today, and they are, in fact, important. But keeping perspective, as we do, is also important, and our Jesuit mission calls us to think beyond ourselves and to think about others. So I invite you to join me now in just taking a brief moment to lift all those up in prayer. Amen. Now, we are here in McGuire Hall. For those of the loyal faithful to the State of the University of Dress, you'll know it normally happens in the chapel. I am not making a statement by having it in McGuire Hall, so save your emails, please. Whew. We don't have a giant screen in the chapel. And for this, but probably not next year, I need a giant screen because I have a lot I want to go through with the strategic plan, and we just couldn't get it to fit. So here we are in McGuire Hall. The other thing, I feel the need, and I debated with Courtney on the way over, should I say something, should I not? I am fine. I have some seasonal allergies that turned into a sinus infection. So I don't sound good, but I feel great. But I did notice that the health center staff is here. So if I pass out, Dr. Sands, you're in charge. Yes, you are. You're a doctor to me. Now, here we go. Here we go. I want to start by saying thank you, really an authentic and sincere thank you. Thank you for all the ways you contribute to our university. Loyola is a special place. We're going to talk a little bit about that. And it's special because of its people who give their best to one another, people who believe in this university, and people who support our students, people who are invested deeply in our student success. I see that myself every single day, and I know there is so much more that happens that I never see. And it all makes a real difference. It's part of the family recipe, as I like to call it. So again, I begin by saying to all of you, thank you. You're here today, I assume, at least most of you, I know some of you were forced to come, but most of you are here today because you care about the state of our university. And I'm happy to tell you that our university is strong. We are a successful university. We have much to celebrate. It's been a big year this year for anniversaries. The Center for the Humanities celebrated 40 years, and the Center for Community Service and Justice marked 20 years. The Carson Institute for Race, Peace, and Social Justice just marked its 3rd year in existence and moved into brand new space. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's at the library, and it's not only inspiring, but it's just fantastic. The Loyola Clinical Centers marked 20 years of service to this community in its expanded space at Belvedere Square. And these are just a few aspects of our institution that animate our mission and enrich the lives of our students. Now, I hesitate to bring up rankings because when I don't like the way we're ranked, I say that rankings don't really matter. But we had some really good rankings this year, so we're going to talk about them. We've seen Loyola earn very high marks. U.S. News ranked Loyola number 2 for undergraduate teaching. Number 2 in the North Region. You know how many schools are in the North Region? Number 2, fantastic. And number 4 among the most innovative schools. I agree. We moved up 50 spots on the Forbes list of top colleges and were ranked by the New York Times for our outstanding economic diversity. Loyola was also recognized nationally among 100 colleges whose graduates to go on to earn the most money. Now, I am the first to say that it is a false premise to suggest that you gauge and judge success by how much money you make. That said, it is an indication of how the world of work values what our graduates have to offer. Because this ranking is relative to peers from other institutions. And so rankings, of course, only tell a piece of the story, but we are able to show that external endorsements happen here and that the endorsement of the world-class education that you all provide to our students. We know the value of a Loyola education. We know the value of a Jesuit liberal arts education. But these rankings, when prospective students, which will happen, by the way, Saturday in this room with that wall lifted, hopefully. We got enough coming where we need both sides, Eric? Great job. We can show to our parents that the external forces understand and value what we do here. Moving on to academics, in the past year, Loyola has also received some significant and prestigious grants that will make a difference for faculty scholarship, as well as the work that we're doing in our community. How often can we say that we've received 2 grants from National Science Foundation and 1 from the U.S. Department of Education? And these 2 really outstanding grants came just weeks apart. So congratulations to all those who worked to make those happen, especially our colleagues in the School of Education. We continue to seek opportunities to add and enhance academic programs, and hopefully in a few weeks we will know more about our submission related to a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. As you know, we submitted a formal response to the objection raised, the only objection raised, by our neighbor to the north, Notre Dame of Maryland University. We actually had a meeting this morning with MHEC about that, including with our partner, Dr. Main, who is the CEO of Mercy Hospital. I thought it went reasonably well. We'll find out. I find our response to be overwhelmingly compelling and look forward to a positive outcome. And we're creating this program to meet a significant state need. It is absolutely a state need that we need workers to help take care of people that are sick and vulnerable. And it will also enhance the portfolio of Loyola academic offerings and make us a stronger institution. With regards to the cabinet, as I'm coming up on my 2nd anniversary as president, I'm pleased to report that the cabinet is almost fully in place. The search for the next dean of Loyola College is underway, and we're looking forward to welcoming our first Chief People and Cultural Officer. Kind of rolls right off the tongue. Chief People and Cultural Officer who will oversee human resources. That position will also serve on the cabinet, and that leader will play a key role as we implement several of the elements you're going to hear about in a few minutes regarding our strategic plan. Enrollment. Moving on to that, we've now completed our fall census, and I can officially confirm that we yielded the 3rd largest class in the history of Loyola. It is our most diverse class and our most academically qualified class in history. That deserves a round of applause. The class of 2027 has also set a record for first-generation students. 25% of our first-year class are first-generation, and we welcomed 57 transfer students and 23 new international students, the highest number in more than 20 years. And other good news, our overall net tuition revenue and financial aid expenditures are both projected to be on budget for this fiscal year. And we're working to address some areas of graduate enrollment and are working to identify areas of growth. Moving on to the budget. As we've discussed before, increased undergraduate classes does not automatically translate to immediate budget relief. Those larger classes sometimes require additional classes and support, and the overall financial picture is complicated. It is good news that currently we are projecting the fiscal year FY24, that's the year we're in right now, that we will meet expectations from both a net revenue and expense standpoint, and we expect near break-even results for operations. That's good. As we turn our attention to fiscal year 25, the finance team and the budget committee, which is comprised of many of you in this room, have begun the work of narrowing in on ways to close the budget gap. I'm confident that progress will be made over the next several months as we look toward bringing a balanced budget for the next fiscal year and move towards approval in the spring. Now, I'm going to step off of my prepared remarks for a second. That makes some of you in the room very dangerous, most of them sitting right here, and say that a balanced budget is good. We're going to balance the budget this year. I'm convinced of it. For next year, that's what we're working on right now. And that's good. But it's not enough. All of the things that I hear about and that I want to do and I know you want to do require more than a balanced budget. We need more net tuition revenue. We need a larger endowment. We have to be very mindful of our expenses. That said, I am a firm believer you cannot cut your way to success. We have to invest in things that are going to allow us to grow so we can invest in ourselves. We deserve it. Our students deserve it. And 2 things can be true. And this is where I think we sometimes miss the mark a little bit as a community. Two things can be true. And two things are true. We are a strong, successful institution. Many institutions would love to be able to balance their budget and can't. We are that. We are a strong and successful institution that really does right by its students. But at the same time, we have to be clear-eyed about the fact that we do have challenges. We have to address them head-on. And we have to come up with a plan that's going to help us get there. In a few minutes, we'll get to that. The higher education landscape is difficult to navigate, and we need to be intentional about the decisions we make to position ourselves in the future so we can build on our success. We are lucky that we get to enter this plan, blessed, not lucky, blessed, that we get to enter this planning process from a true position of strength. We can't just hope everything's going to turn out all right. We need a plan and a good one. And our next strategic plan is going to map our way forward. We'll build on our strengths and drive us through the next 7 years, through 2030, and position us for decades beyond that. 2 years ago, right after I was named president, I stood in front of you in the chapel and talked about creating a shared vision. And that's what we embarked on together, creating a shared vision. We shared ideals and ideas through a conversation tour. You helped us identify Loyola's strengths, shortcomings, opportunities, aspirations. Together, we took stock in who we are. We talked about who we want to be. We talked about where we want to go and perhaps where we need to go. So why do we do a strategic plan? Well, here's a few goals that I laid out when I met with you last time in this room when we had our first town hall. You do a strategic plan so we can be focused as an institution. You do it so we could ensure that we can identify and double down on our competitive advantage. You do it so we can focus on growth and diversifying our revenue, the revenue that we can then use to invest in this university, which is us. We are this university and our students. Determine ahead of time how we're going to finance the entirety of the plan so it's sound and actually doable. We're going to use the plan to prioritize, and it will be a management tool to help guide divisions in making decisions about what they're going to do and what they're not going to do. And we'll use the plan to resolve what I interpreted to be, as I went around in my first year and talked with so many people, a little bit of an identity crisis. Not entirely sure where Loyola's going. Well, you do a strategic plan so we can understand where are we headed. As we approached the strategic plan with these goals in mind, we named the planning process with the acronym CARE. It stood for Collaborate, Aspire, Reflect, and Engage. Those were the themes that we carried with us through this process. Collaborating, aspire, reflect, and engage, care. And that will continue to inspire us as we further define and implement the strategic plan. I want to pause for a moment and acknowledge the leadership of this committed and talented committee, which is on the screen that you can see. It included faculty, staff, administrators, alumni, trustees, and students. This team shaped the process that has led us to this point of the plan. They were committed to hearing our community and incorporating the feedback into the development of the plan that has happened over the course of this process. And I'm not going to read every person's name, but I am going to call out Eric Nichols, our Vice President for Enrollment Management, as co-chair, and Paola Pascal-Ferro, who's the Associate Professor of Communication, as co-chair. They have worked tirelessly to shepherd this process. Please give them a round of applause. Not to mention the committee members that worked long hours and gave so much thought to every proposal, and the support team that worked to make sure that the work was being done in an efficient and coherent manner. I just can't thank you enough for how hard you all worked. Now, this slide shows a little bit about community participation. More than 500 members of our community participated in 2 town halls, 38 community engagement sessions, 49 coffee and conversation sessions, and through that engagement, themes emerged. You see them on the right side. The themes were, and we talked about this at the town hall, thriving faculty, students, and faculty, staff, and administration, student success, stronger academic profile, a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, intentional belonging, and a culture of innovation. Those themes emerged out of all of those conversations that we had. You'll see those themes as we walk through and overview the plan. Then more than 1,250 members of our community participated in a survey to help prioritize these themes. And we received nearly 100 proposals with ideas. The other thing, I'll get to proposals in a second, the other thing that I want to point out that's not mentioned on this slide, in the spring semester, 60 people then signed up to work on work groups and took the work to a next level where we took these ideas and went even deeper and understood logistics and operational details and finances. A word about the proposals. And for my mind, this is the hardest part, because I stood here and asked all of you, give us your ideas, and people put a lot of thought and energy into them. And not every one of those individual proposals is reflected in this plan. Some didn't align with the scope of the focus areas of the plan, which were driven by the overall input from the community, as I mentioned. Some proposals were more tactical and operational, and very well might appear in divisional plans that will spring from this university's strategic plan. The ideas themselves that aren't represented here does not mean that they're not good ideas in and of themselves. It just means that it wasn't the right idea for Loyola at this time. There are also ideas that we may revisit and come back to. But that's what makes a plan strategic, that you identify clear goals that will propel an institution forward. But I assure you that all proposals were reviewed carefully and thoughtfully. So we are thankful for those and for each of you for lending your voice to this process. Now, vision and focus. Through all of these touch points, all these conversations, all of these surveys, all these coffee meetings, we learned quite a bit. So what did we learn? Well, first, we learned that this place, Loyola, is worth being proud of. That was obvious. Second, we learned that this place is full of people who are deeply committed to the whole spirit and craft of educating people. We have an ethic here where everyone at Loyola, I hope, views themselves as educators. You may not be in front of the students in the classroom, but you are educators. You are part of an enterprise that exists to educate young people in the Jesuit Catholic tradition. And everyone has a role in that, and without you, it doesn't work. It is also evident that we're coming out of a worldwide trauma that was COVID. It was the most challenging period ever in the history of higher education. And it's evident that some of our colleagues, as a result, are feeling tired, unappreciated, fatigued. We realize that our students, who were not fully developed human beings when this happened, are still impacted by this. We have an obligation to meet them where they are now, to do things differently, because the world had changed beneath us. It changed beneath them. I was talking to a faculty member last semester, seasoned faculty member, not a rookie, and a great faculty member. And he said to me, you know, I tell my students that if you're having trouble or whatever you want to accomplish, I'll meet you halfway, but you have to meet me halfway. And what he told me was, what used to be halfway isn't even close anymore. It's like what used to be 90% is now halfway. And we can lament that that's true, and yeah, it's harder, but that's what we're called to do. We have to meet our students where we are. So think about that when we go through some of the elements of this plan. We also learned how committed we are to our Jesuit mission and values, and there was reflection on the universal apostolic preferences, and particularly on caring for our common home, which we chose to define broadly. We talk about it in terms of our commitment to Mother Earth through Laudato Si, of course, but also care for each other. We saw how fully our community embraces the ethic of cura personalis for everyone, not just for our students, but for all of us, how we treat each other, how the university treats the people that give their lives to this institution, their time, their energies, their passions. We also saw some clear and resounding strength. Loyola is an outstanding institution with outcomes that are just outstanding. What happens to our students after they go through the experience that you provide is outstanding. And even though our rankings, as I mentioned earlier, are quite good, our outcomes outpace our rankings. Said another way, if you just looked at the outcomes of Loyola students, you might think that they are from a top 20 or top 10 national institution. Our outcomes are just that strong. And at the same time, when we look at the fundamental operational pieces of our university, we see that some of our processes and systems, and they are symptoms too, are simply outdated. We have that's called a Freudian slip, I believe. We have a clear opportunity to improve those and make our university more efficient and more effective, to make our lives better, so we can work more freely, so we can have more time to do the things that matter most in the education of students. So what do we do with all that we've learned? Because we learned a lot. We spent a lot of time. We were very intentional, and I know he's not here, but Frank Gollum, before he was dean, acting dean, put together an outstanding process to take all of your information and actually try to make sense of it all. So we took it and we reflected on it. And here is our inspiration for this plan. The inspiration is that Loyola University will be an irresistible place to learn, teach, and to work. We will boldly and courageously enter new markets. We will embrace key opportunities for growth, growing in size, growing in influence, and in reputation, and care for our community and in our mission-driven impact far beyond our campus. And we will emerge as a stronger, more inclusive, increasingly viable institution that leans into our greatest strengths and builds on them with creative, innovative partnerships, making us a leader in liberal arts education, professional education, health professions, and beyond. And our strategic focus is a unique perspective on student success. Unique being the operative word. I recognize the cynic will say, well, what institution doesn't care about student success? Okay, I'm with you. There might be one or two, but it's our unique perspective. It's how we're going to do it. It's how we do it already. Let's face it, we're better at this than most. Let's leverage on our success. We aspire to be a place where students from diverse backgrounds study, are formed and transformed, and leave Loyola ready to engage the world and succeed in their pursuit of love and of justice. Fundamentally, this plan is focused on making Loyola University Maryland a preeminent university for student success. And then our vision statement. From here, we're going to double down on educating young people as evidenced by our outcomes. We're going to invest in our community scholars. We're going to work to make Loyola the preeminent institution for student success. So with a steadfast commitment to student success, Loyola University Maryland is dedicated to transformational excellence. As a Jesuit Catholic university, we aim to lead with love and work for justice, and are committed to being the best place in the world from which to change the world. And I would underline the word transformational. There are plenty of places where education is transactional. You can get that quite easily. That does not happen here. And it happens because of the investment that each of you make in our students. And what happens on the back end is when you talk to a student that graduates from Loyola and they reflect on what's special, it's not the sort of more cosmetic and surfacey things that are often associated with American higher education. A party culture, big games. It's about relationships that they care most about. It's about what they learned. It's about the people that are with them and how they change their worldview so they understand that there's an expectation that from whom much is given, much is expected. So, how do we get there? By strategically centering ourselves around 4 focus areas. And through all of these, there are guiding commitments of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, and a guiding commitment around innovation, growth, which we need to do all of this, and operational excellence. And so the first is to advance student and faculty formation. The second is to grow our footprint, influence, and enrollment. Third, care for our common home, defined broadly. And fourth, thrive by investing and supporting in our team. All in an effort to achieve student success, because that's why we exist. That's what we produce. Not just doctors, lawyers, teachers, engineers, business people. We're producing citizens in a democracy that are to be informed and understanding their place in the world, and that we do things not to enrich ourselves, but to make the world a better place. That's why we exist, and we're invested in student success. But all of these things will help us get there, because success for all equals success for our students. When we're better, when we feel cared for, when we feel inspired, our students benefit from that. So this plan attempts to toggle between both things, and hopefully will uplift the entire institution. So what might success look like? Well, I think if we do most of the things we're about to show you, we will see meaningful improvements in student retention and graduation rates. We will improve our rankings and selectivity. We will grow undergraduate enrollment over the next 10 years. We will increase graduate enrollment revenue. We will have greater recruitment and retention of faculty and staff, especially from underrepresented populations. We will be officially recognized as a great college to work for in the Chronicle of Higher Education. We will have sustained outcomes of significance for alumni. We will be a higher education leader in sustainable practices. We will increase experiential learning and research opportunities for all of our students. We'll improve the sense of belonging and overall satisfaction of all students and all employees, and increased consonance with our Jesuit Catholic mission. All right, so here's the outline. I'm going to pop this up so you can keep your place, because we're going to be moving around a lot. The area I'm talking about is colored in red. Very good. Excellent. Making sure you're still with me. All right, so here we have those 4 areas: advance, grow, care, and thrive. And under advance, we have 2 main initiatives. One is around student and faculty support. There's 4 elements under that. And then the second is around school spirit. But I don't mean school spirit like rah, rah, go Greyhounds, but that's good. But I mean school spirit really caring about this place, feeling good about where we are, and feeling enthused about the fact that we're part of this community that's bigger than ourselves. So we're taking school spirit, which can sound a little trite, and really expanding it to mean something even more impactful. Then there's 2 initiatives under GROW, Graduate Education, Health, and STEM. 2 under CARE, becoming a leader in integral ecology and cultivating a community of belonging. And then the last one is THRIVE, by becoming a destination employer and operational and digital transformation. So the first one, the one in red, advance, student and faculty formation. We're going to advance student and faculty formation. And there's 2 initiatives, Initiative 1, Initiative 2. Under Initiative 1, there's 4 elements, so here we go. All right. So the first element to enhance support for students and faculty is to establish and invest in a holistic support structure that will enable current and future students to succeed at Loyola and beyond. Remember the framing that I talked about, that we all are aware of how our students are coming to us differently. So we're going to develop and train a student success network by establishing a collaborative structure between academic affairs and student development, which will serve as an umbrella retention organization for the university. When we look at ways that we're going to improve, one of the things is we're going to see we retain better. It is tragic when a student and family puts all the investment in coming to a place, and you get here and you realize it just doesn't work out. Sometimes you can't help it, but in ways that we can, we need to do everything we can to make sure that students come here, get through, and succeed. We're going to hire student success coaches to serve as organizational connectors, guiding undergraduate students throughout their entire experience at Loyola. We're going to create additional curricular and experiential opportunities that employ high-impact practices to improve retention. And we're going to facilitate and enhance the collection of digital real-time student data so we can know what's going on and monitor our students and see at the first sign of distress that there's something we need to swoop in and take care of and work on. Element 2 in enhancing support for students and faculty, we're going to integrate well-being into all aspects of university life. We're going to promote mental health and wellness training. We're going to integrate wellness information into the academic curriculum and across constituencies. We're going to increase communication and coordination among the care team, among our mental health resources, our faculty, and other campus partners to better support multifaceted needs of our students, and are going to invest in additional wellness staff. I'm going to talk on Saturday, hopefully with a better voice, to prospective students and their parents. And one time, I think it was last year, I said, in making my pitch, I said, at Loyola, it's impossible to fall through the cracks. And Vice President Deb Katie Melzer made a beeline to me afterwards and said, you can't say that. It's not impossible. So now I say, it's highly unlikely. Which just doesn't sound as good. This is going to make it impossible, right, Deb? Where's Deb? Impossible, right? Okay. Impossible. I can put it back into my speech. All right. Element 3, we're still on Initiative 1, on enhancing support in student faculty. Element 3, we're going to research and develop experiential learning practices that can be integrated in the Loyola experience. We're going to deepen our understanding of experiential learning. We're going to identify existing instances of integrated experiential learning, revisit previous curricular mapping, and work with the Career Center to identify and refine experiential learning opportunities. So when we say Loyola Ready, it's not just a slogan or a tagline, it's actually a real thing that we can deliver on. Identify ways to incentivize experiential learning, possibly through an annual update process, stipends, or course releases. Develop a 4-credit and non-credit undergraduate course that incorporates our mission, values, commitment to social impact, and connection to Baltimore that might serve as a bookend to Messina. Messina has been incredibly successful, was part of the last strategic plan. Interesting opportunity to kind of build on that and have a bookend to that. And develop and refine data collection processes for student opportunities and engagement with experiential learning and other identified key performance indicators or goals. And then, lastly, under this initiative, we're going to create a Center for Faculty Development to strengthen faculty resources by focusing specifically on Ignatian pedagogical practices and scholarship. So we're going to measure and assess faculty job satisfaction. We're going to invest in faculty scholarship and increase the percentage of full-time faculty, including tenure-track faculty hires. Initiative 2, advancing school spirit. Through new initiatives for students, alumni, employees, and community members that enhance recruitment, engagement, and lifelong connections. School spirit makes us feel better. It's great for students. It's also good business. Students are attracted, remember my corny word, irresistible, students are attracted to places that have school spirit. It feels, but the right kind, the healthy kind, not the toxic kind, where it just, people are proud to be here, where all people are welcome, where people are celebrated for who they are, and you come as you are, and you feel good about that. That's what we're aspiring to be. I'm not saying we're there yet, but that's what we're aspiring to be. That's school spirit too. And not just athletic success, which is fantastic, and I want to continue to support that, but we have incredible academic success, success in the arts, things that should also be celebrated. So expand the Academic Excellence Weekend, which if you haven't participated in that is inspiring and really fun, to develop a series of traditional events and recognition ceremonies. Establish a task force to increase coordination and establish new initiatives to promote school spirit, all kinds, intellectual, cultural, spiritual, recreational, social, and athletic. And then leverage the strength of our Division I athletics program to further enhance our school spirit and alumni engagement, and better utilize our indoor and outdoor spaces to support school spirit. Here's something you learn when you live on campus, which I do. Our students do not go home on the weekends. I'm happy about that, mostly. But we have opportunities. They're here. We have opportunities to better utilize our indoor and outdoor space. Not the lawn and Armiger, but other indoor and outdoor, occasionally. Not the indoor, but utilize our indoor and outdoor space to support school spirit. We have such a beautiful campus, and we have good school spirit. I'm not suggesting that we don't have it, but this can be a strength, and it can be something that we will known for. And what we found out when we did the market research is if you're known for school spirit, they will come. Now we're on. Right. Those of you that told me we didn't need that slide in there, see, I told you. All right, we're growing our footprint, our influence, and our enrollment. Okay, 2 initiatives, graduate education, health, and STEM. First, grow graduate education. We're going to develop better support structures and further refine our graduate education mission. We really have to rethink how we support and manage graduate education at Loyola. We have to develop a new graduate education administrative structure that includes a cohesive, coordinated, adequately resourced team focused exclusively on graduate student support. We need a complete review of appropriate graduate structure and size and establish appropriate long-term graduate enrollment and revenue targets. What are we trying to accomplish with graduate education? Let's name it, and then let's go after it, and let's record it. And then explore and develop new academic graduate programs that align with our vision, with enrollment targets and revenue expectations, and not listed but also important, and mission and market. Programs that are needed in the market that we can quickly pivot to. And then grow health and STEM. We're going to launch a new school focused on health and develop a market-aligned program and innovative partnerships that are grounded in mission and support program growth, revitalization, and reinvestment in the entire university. Now, I recognize that, and my colleagues recognize, and our provost recognizes, that these are anxiety-inducing conversations for many. So we're going to hold discussions and listening sessions with deans, department chairs, and faculty about what possible configurations for a new school focused on health would look like. We're going to go very carefully on this. We're going to explore and develop new market-aligned programs in health and STEM fields that are aligned with mission and enhance future enrollment. The future enrollment we need to create the revenue that we need to invest in the things that you deserve. We're going to identify and explore innovative partnerships and program opportunities. This BSN proposal, which is moving along, would not have happened, in my view, without the partnership with Mercy Medical System. If you were on the call this morning with MHEC, where the president of Mercy was on the call with us, the credibility it gave to our proposal before the state of Maryland was irreplaceable. And those are the types of partnerships that we need to try to mimic and mirror as we move forward in other areas, because people want to partner with Loyola. We are well thought of in the community. We're a good institution to work with. Where you can get your arms around us. We're not so big that you can't figure us out. You can know us, but we have a lot to offer. We're going to develop a plan and timeline for the new school, including reorganization of existing departments, again, carefully and thoughtfully. And we're going to make significant investments in health and STEM infrastructure, including the renovation and addition to the Donnelly Science Center and potentially breaking ground on a new school building. This is all that we're talking about today will eventually, and not so far away, be attached to a comprehensive campaign, because we're going to have to raise money for these things. But I can tell you, just from the early conversations we're having and starting to socialize some of these ideas, I can feel the energy from many of our donors that are interested in support it. Right, Brian? Brian says correct. Right answer. We are now on care. Caring for our common home, focus area 3. 2 initiatives, becoming a leader in integral ecology and cultivating a community of belonging. Becoming a leader in integral ecology. We will enhance our commitment to Laudato Si. Laudato Si is an encyclical from Pope Francis, which really encourages us to look at Mother Earth, cries of the earth, as well as cries of the poor. We are a Laudato Si institution. We've signed a pledge. So we're going to enhance our commitment to that pledge on campus and in the wider community. This is where we can even expand on the great work that happens in many areas, not just one, with our community and specifically our city of Baltimore. We're going to organize a collaborative Laudato Si commission that builds upon our existing strengths to guide us to become a leader in integral ecology. We're going to integrate this work between the Office of Sustainability, Laudato Si, and mission integration. We're going to update the university's climate action plan to focus on just and equitable action that supports local communities. We're going to adopt and invest in sustainable practices to achieve a STARS Platinum rating. We're going to create ways for students to connect their educational experience with issues of sustainability. And then cultivating a community of belonging. We want to explore, define, and invest in a mission-centered strategy to enact justice and support equity, inclusion, and belonging for all members of our university community. We're going to create wide networks that engage students, employees, and alumni in various network activities and events, community-wide networks. We're going to expand student and employee DEIJ training and learning opportunities. We're going to explore the creation of an ombudsman office. We're going to increase support for the Office of Equity and Inclusion, Alana Services, and the LGBTQIA+ community. We're going to create a university-wide implementation group to steward actions related to the recommendations from the President's Task Force examining Loyola's connection to slavery. Quick side note on that. I am in the presence of that report. I am reviewing it, working with the authors, and look forward to presenting that to you this academic year, along with the recommendations. Create justice-related activities that reinforce the university's core values and shared principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice, and create a DEIJ Advocates Committee that will focus on tactical aspects of DEIJ at Loyola to engage students and employees on and off the campus. And then lastly, thrive. We're going to thrive by investing and supporting our team, the Loyola team. 2 initiatives. 1, be recognized as a destination employer for faculty, staff, and administrators. And 2, operational and digital transformation. To be recognized as a destination employer for faculty, staff, and administrators, we're going to advance compensation and benefits, promote well-being and flexibility, and further professional development to attract, support, and retain an outstanding workforce and better support the mission of the university. So under the leadership of the inaugural Chief People and Cultural Officer, we will cultivate a culture of care for and engagement of all employees. We will establish and optimize policies and practices that equitably prioritize flexibility to increase work-life balance for all employees. Create a robust life cycle based life cycle-based professional development system that supports the growth of all employees. So you can start your career here at Loyola and actually develop your career at Loyola. And you don't have to jump a mile down the street to be able to have growth. Pick that randomly. Develop an innovative approach to benefits rooted in equity that increases employee satisfaction and retention, and make measurable progress in compensation. And then lastly, operational digital transformation. We want to create a culture of change and operational excellence across the university as part of the successful implementation of a new digital infrastructure and work process. The first thing we're going to do is implement Workday platform and student modules. Now, Workday will replace a system, a ERP system, that we purchased when I was 12 years old. Can you imagine? I have the big box in my basement, and it has some things that when I was 12 years old, and they're really old. And none of it works. I have that Coleco head-to-head football. It doesn't work. But our ERP system is still going. It's time to replace it. There'll be pain. I don't like the word pain. It's a little bit dramatic. There will be a lot of work associated with this. There'll be frustration. There will be disruption. But we will be better off for it on the other side, and we will get there together and be so better off. We will create a change agent leadership group to create opportunities for collaboration between divisions and to lead efforts in communication, training, awareness, and culture change, and create operational efficiencies through streamlining and sunsetting legacy systems that can be activated within Workday. So again, the key to Jesuit education: repetition, repetition, repetition. What might success look like? If we do, I am convinced, most of these things, we will see improvements to student retention and grad rates. We will improve rankings and selectivity. We will grow undergraduate enrollment over the next 10 years. We will increase graduate enrollment revenue. We will have greater recruitment and retention of faculty and staff, especially from underrepresented populations. We will be recognized as a great college to work for in the Chronicle. We will have sustained outcomes of significance for alumni. We'll be a higher education leader in sustainable practices. We will see increased experiential learning and research opportunities for all of our students, not just the strivers that sit in the front row. An improved sense of belonging for overall satisfaction of all students and employees, and increased consonance with our Jesuit Catholic mission. So looking ahead, these are the next steps. This executive outline is going to be posted online, and we're going to collect feedback from the community between now and December 1st. So this is not finalized. We're socializing this plan now. We're going to convert the executive outline to a final narrative version of the strategic plan. We're going to have approval by the cabinet after we get all the feedback, myself, and the Loyola Conference. It'll then be reviewed by the Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees. The final presentation, including the financing detail, will be submitted and presented to the board, and they will ultimately vote on it in the February 2024 board meeting, and then implementation begins. So this, what do you call those things? QR codes. Remember, I was 12 when the ERP, I'm old. We didn't have these. That QR code gets you to the website, or you can see the site right there, to provide your feedback. So I'm not done yet. I'm almost done. So, as we close, I want to express my deep gratitude for everyone who has worked on this strategic plan, from the steering committee to the working groups who worked so hard on this last summer, to the President's cabinet that worked really hard on this, and to everyone of you who has engaged with us at various points in the process. We also had great involvement from our Board of Trustees, and they were entirely appropriate in their involvement. They didn't overstep. They were helpful and wise, and they'll ultimately be asked to support this plan in more ways than just their good wishes, if you know what I mean. So there's no two people that are more excited for this plan to be voted on and be done than our two friends sitting right here, the co-chairs, who have really had to give up their lives for this. But while for you this might be true, for the rest of us, we're not done. although the finish line is in sight. We will be shaping the narrative, refining the initiatives, and listening to the final feedback. We'll also be setting clear, measurable goals, KPIs, for the plan, so we can track and benchmark our progress as we implement it. We'll also be working on separately on establishing how we're going to reallocate resources to identify how new resource streams will support the implementation and what initiatives we can go out and raise money for. But the finish line that is in sight is actually not the finish. In many ways, it's just the beginning. It's the starting point for the real work, and in my eyes, the real adventure that we will embark upon. I don't know about you, but I cannot wait to get started, and together we will help be an institution that we all know Loyola can be and will be. I am, after these last 2 years and working on this process and having the gift of this perspective, I am more convinced than ever that Loyola's brightest days are ahead of us. Our future is extremely bright, and this plan is just one of several attributes that's going to allow us to get there and to have the type of university that we deserve, that Jesuit education deserves, that our students deserve, that the city of Baltimore deserves, and that the world deserves. So I can't thank you enough for being here today. I made it through. Julie, you're okay? You didn't have to get out the defibrillator. So thank you so much. God bless you. One more. Please enjoy some refreshments out in the atrium. Thank you.